gotta focus on yourself, on your faith, on your dreams, on your mind, on your health, yeah. You gotta work, never tell, keep your head down, find what you love and excel, yeah.
All right, let's talk about the Turbo 5. You could say the Turbo 4 and Turbo 4 Pro kind of merged this time because the Turbo 5 comes straight from the factory, combining the copper frame backlighting effect from the Turbo 4 with the metal copper frame of the Turbo 4 Pro. A quick shout out to my tech partner from China for sharing this video. A big thank you for making this possible. Hey everyone, it's Maiky from techmaiky. If you love staying updated with the latest gadgets, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on our exciting tech content. So how does this phone actually feel in real use? That's what we're diving into today. This video focuses only on the newly released Turbo 5 and won't cover the other models. Now yes, the Turbo 5 Max packs a stronger processor and a bigger battery, but the Turbo 5 is roughly 200 yuan cheaper, which makes it more appealing to a lot of people. There's also the material choice to think about. Many users still prefer glass over a wave pattern back. Wave pattern panels are lighter and less likely to crack, while glass feels more solid, tighter in structure, and simply nicer in hand. At the end of the day, it really comes down to what matters more to you. One of the most noticeable changes on the Turbo 5 is its size. Looking at it from the top, it's slimmer than before, and from the side, it's shorter as well. That makes the whole phone feel more compact and easier to grip, moving it closer to Xiaomi's flagship size, though only closer, not quite the same. The Turbo 5 uses a 6.59-inch display, which is still larger than Xiaomi's 6.3-inch screen, so this is clearly a middle ground solution. Whether phones in this price bracket should go big, medium, or small is still heavily debated, so feel free to share your thoughts. The frosted glass on the back feels exactly like what we saw on the Turbo 4 Pro. The flash and the edges of the camera module are fully integrated into the back glass, with only the lens rings sticking out. This makes the rear look cleaner and also leaves more room for your fingers when holding the phone. Around the camera, there's an RGB light ring that supports music rhythm effects. You can tweak the settings, but since the lights sit on the back, you won't really see them during daily use, which makes you question how practical they are. The timer feature feels like the most useful option here, with a 1-second flash to remind you when it's time to snap a photo. Up top, you'll find the infrared sensor while the SIM tray sits at the bottom. The phone measures 8.18 millimeters thick and weighs 204 grams. Moving on to the display, you're getting a 1.5K OLED panel with a 120 Hz refresh rate and large rounded corners. Right now, this is among the best bezel control you'll find on a phone. You can easily compare it for yourself. The Turbo 5 uses internal dimming above 80 nits and switches to 3D 840 Hz PWM dimming below that level. Overall brightness stays similar to previous models, but in manual mode, turning on sunlight mode boosts full screen brightness from just over 600 nits to more than 800 nits. Honestly, it's best to keep sunlight mode on when using manual brightness because 600 plus nits on its own feels a bit low outdoors. With sunlight mode enabled, the average peak full screen brightness in manual mode reaches about 844.4 nits. One thing worth noting is that the bottom of the screen appears slightly brighter than the top. Manual brightness adjustment works fine, but the one-tap brightness option could definitely be smoother. Xiaomi has always been fairly conservative with screen brightness, probably to help reduce battery drain when you're outside. Finally, when you look at the Turbo 5's display settings compared to the Turbo 4 Pro, you'll notice it's missing some of the more advanced textures and the AI master image quality engine. And that wraps up this first look at the Turbo 5's design and screen experience. All right, now let's talk performance. The Turbo 5 is powered by the Dimensity 8500 Ultra, pulling an AnTuTu score of around 2.3 million. On Geekbench 6, the gains over the previous Turbo 4 are actually pretty small. That's because the older Dimensity 8400 Ultra was already pushed close to its limits, and the 8500 Ultra doesn't bring any huge leap forward. So it's worth noting right away, compared to the Turbo 4, the Turbo 5 focuses more on build quality and battery life rather than raw performance. When it comes to gaming, Honor of Kings runs at 120 FPS and stays steady without the back heating up too much. Kyoto Animation also hits 120 FPS on smooth quality settings, averaging about 119.48 frames, with the back reaching around 40.9 degrees Celsius. For Genshin Impact, with ultra-high graphics and 60 FPS enabled, the average frame rate came in at 59.42, and the back cover warmed up to about 43.1 degrees. It feels slightly warm in hand, but heat control is actually better than on the Turbo 4 Pro. In everyday use, the phone stays stable even with multiple apps running in the background, and apps don't reload easily. Most animations are there, and things like pull-down blur and app zooming feel smooth. That said, the document folder background doesn't have a frosted glass effect, and while the volume panel does use blur, it's not quite the same as a full frosted glass look. For the cameras, I mainly compared it with the popular Turbo 4 Pro. Both phones use the Sony LYT600 as the main sensor, so overall image quality is very similar. Even the glare shape looks the same. The difference comes down to tuning. On the Turbo 5, shadow lifting is more noticeable, and saturation is slightly higher, which really stands out on the left side of photos. Whether that's better or worse depends on your taste. From a testing point of view, the left side shows more shadow detail, so it wins. From an artistic angle, the right side makes the subject pop more, so that one takes it. With the ultra-wide camera, both phones show clear color shifts. On the Turbo 5, shadows are brightened a bit too much, which ends up exaggerating its weaknesses. For video, the main camera supports 4K at 60 FPS, while the ultra-wide lens tops out at 1080p at 30 FPS. Battery-wise, the Turbo 5 packs a massive 7560 mAh cell, which is more than enough for a full day of use. It supports 100 watts fast charging, and in real-world testing, it reached 59% in about 30 minutes and hit 100% in just under an hour, roughly 59 minutes. The fingerprint reader is a short focus type placed lower on the screen. The dual speakers feel almost identical to previous models. You also get dual-frequency GPS, infrared remote control, NFC, and IP69 water resistance. The X-axis linear motor is the same style Redmi usually uses. You can judge the vibration feel by listening to the sound. Overall, the biggest change with the Turbo 5 is its size. Paired with the modular frequency conversion design, the in-hand feel is now closer to Xiaomi's flagship style. Performance-wise though, the upgrade over the Turbo 4 isn't dramatic, which means the Turbo 4 series is still a great value option. The Turbo 5 makes more sense for people who care about hand feel, or who weren't happy with the Turbo 4's heating issues caused by the white magnetic ring. A lot of people like buying mid-range phones for their parents because larger screens are easier on aging eyes, but big displays aren't always comfortable to use. Trust me, I feel this too. Redmi seems to be searching for that sweet spot. From the K90's 6.59-inch screen to the Turbo 5's 6.59-inch display, Redmi is clearly choosing a middle ground size for its standard models. Whether this becomes the long-term trend, we'll have to wait and see. As for pricing, the base version of the Redmi Turbo 5 starts at 1999 yuan in China, which is roughly 210 pounds in the UK, or about $288 in the US. And with that, I'll wrap things up here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.